Assassin style.
Right? Wow. Damn, that is so cool.
Isn't that fun?
If you have a metabolic dysfunction where the brain repair is what you're doing this for, you have to start with a ketogenic state. Okay. Oh, God. I didn't get it all down. Oh, my God.
I was at Bobby Kennedy's birthday party a few days ago, and the biggest thing that everybody was talking about, the biggest victory, was that we flipped the food pyramid over. My whole life I've heard of big pharma, big tech, but I didn't know that there was a big bread.
The sign that a ketogenic diet is headed your way, at least a chance of it.
Yeah.
The sugar industry or the process, call it whatever you want. I am 5th generation South Dakotan. That wheat and bean subsidies that come from every one of my ancestors, that's us. We did it. It's me. It's my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. George McGufford, 30 miles from where I grew up, and he was the policy that said we are putting the grains at the bottom of that food pyramid. We don't have time to wait for the science. We are politicians. We just need to make a decision.
I'm not a podcaster. You're not a podcaster. You had me on the show. I wanted you here. You fix broken brains, and I've spent a lot of money on researching the ultimate protocols, the ultimate things to do with my body. I have trouble staying in ketosis like crazy. I will get to a point in ketosis to where it's like some other personality takes over, and I'll eat a Twinkie with the wrapper on it. And I will go I think what really makes me go crazy is like a little Christmas tree shaped Reese's. That's mine.
That's your Achilles. Yeah. Kryptonite right there.
Or hearts or pumpkins, wherever season it is. But those, I'll go into that, and then I'll feel like for days. And then I get into ketosis, and then I have these cravings, and then I get into one of the first things. My sister is a big fan of yours. Her name's Holly. She is like, oh, why don't you try these buttercups that are Quests? And
you get diarrhea.
Yeah. It's dirty keto.
Your gut biome is that's in those sugars.
Yeah. Don't do it. Yeah. So she calls it dirty keto. And I'm wondering, some of these chemicals that are in there are bad for us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have on our agenda, we want to talk about this Krebs cycle and really the key of why inside that mitochondria. And my team, the YouTube team, scolds me whenever I say, we're going to talk about mitochondria today. I'm like, people don't want to know about that. They never click on the thumbnail. I'm like, I don't care.
Let's talk about mitochondria really quick.
If you look at what is the restoration happening in persistent ketosis, I mean, I take care of broken people. These aren't your, muscle-bound, jumping off of buildings, perfect soldiers. These are people whose bodies are broken, and they're saying, wait, I'm a walking zombie. I'm dead inside my body. Life is muted. I can't seem to reach the real world. And what they're saying is their little electrons in that mitochondria ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing. You aren't getting to the end of that cycle. You are stuck. And there's some hacks, but put those hacks on a plate of ketones or you'll flutter. You'll go in and out, in and out. You'll touch the universe, then you'll go gray. Then you'll touch the universe and you'll go gray. And I got 10 years of experience saying the people who figure out how to get to just stay in at least a nutritional ketogenic state if you are repairing your brain, especially if you want the memory and the wiring of that brain to not only restore to the best of its ability, but to reprogram away from an injury, which you have in space. Like just outline which parts of your brain you've imaged and said, something's not, it's like missing.
My main goal in fixing my brain was I want synaptic plasticity. And this, I always try to think if my mom is watching this, well, what will I need to explain? So synaptic plasticity is if I have two neurons here and they get disconnected, can I get some other neurons to go around this damaged area and start talking to each other? So I looked deeply into this, and I figured out mitochondria are phase 1, bar none, for everything.
Everything.
Literally everything.
Cancer, health, mental, spiritual, emotion, all of it. Heart.
So let me kick the mitochondria thing off really quick by discussing a few interesting things about mitochondria that would get people maybe invested in it. Mitochondria make up about 10% of your body weight.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have human DNA, which is fascinating.
Right? Little viruses living within us. The aliens are your people.
Yep. And we only get mitochondrial DNA from mom. You can't get mitochondrial DNA from dad. So mitochondria have a little rotary engine in there. And I know you know this.
Yeah, but it's perfect for people.
It operates on an efficiency level above any engine that humans have ever created. Like a car engine is like somewhere around 20%. This is like 90% efficiency. You have 14,000 RPM engine inside of all of our mitochondria. But what Dr. Boz, you were talking about, is an electron goes down into this mitochondria, and electrons are spinning. They're spinning around. So it goes kind of through these little folds of tissue and creates heat. And that's how the mitochondria begins this thing called the electron transport chain. So that goes through these little phases. And if all of these phases don't have the right ingredients and the right healthy environment to be able to jump from this phase to this phase to this phase, and it starts off with breaking down chemicals and making new chemicals, which we don't need to get into. But it gets into the one really important chemical in the fourth phase, which is cytochrome C oxidase, which is like if you understand one thing, just you don't have to look up the Krebs cycle and memorize all this. Just understand how important it is for cytochrome C oxidase to function in your body. And that is like the root of health for me.
Right. The Holy Spirit lives in the mitochondria. And it's in the fourth complex that if you cannot connect the final one, their brains don't work, their immune systems don't work. And it doesn't happen all or none. It's this kind of tapestry that you're taking several of them offline. And inside this complex, you've got two little cofactors. You can't be iron deficient and make this work. So iron needs to be in the body. Sulfate is the other thing that's in that body. And it's taking this final oxygen molecule and making it energy. Energy is right there.
Let's clarify. So when we say energy, when I first heard like, oh, mitochondria make energy, like, oh, if I'm tired, that's mitochondria. It's energy for your cells. Your cells need their own energy. Totally different from like us feeling like I need to go run a marathon.
Right.
The energy for your kidneys to function. Energy for your spinal cord to be sitting in healthy, clean cerebrospinal fluid. Energy to, wash your brain while you're sleeping. All this other stuff that we need energy for. So it's not just energy in terms of I need to go do jumping jacks. It's energy as in my body functioning energy. So I think the root of all disease, or if not most 99% of disease, starts with mitochondrial health and mitochondrial function.
Now, one of the things I teach on, I'm teaching people with broken metabolisms. If there is one step of saying when you input energy, fuel to make energy in that mitochondria, quit putting glucose in. Use fat or a ketone, which is ketosis, right? Your body has rules. It's not going to burn a ketone if you didn't make it in the liver. If you don't have it in your blood, it can't just, whip it out of nowhere. Glucose always going to be around, easy for your mitochondria to burn. But it's when I look at the image I want people to think of when they're only burning glucose, it's like having a fire where you only put kindling in. It's got the sparkles that come out of your campfire because it's kind of pretty, which is a lot of like debris inside that cell when you're burning that glucose. When you can put some sticks in, a few things change. But if you could get some logs in there, get some logs in that fire, because then the embers just keep burning and they help the next guy. And the amount of debris that coming out of that cell, far cleaner. When you do that at scale, now you're repairing a brain. Now you're repairing a heart tissue. That is the basis of why a ketogenic diet is the first step. Like you got to have ketones at the front line of that mitochondrial fuel. And I'm 10 years into this. I'm pretty good at, being in ketosis most hours of most days. As soon as you put sugar in me, my cells they'll betray you that they go right back to burning carbs and all the swelling and the brain fog will come back.
Basically, when a cell uses glucose, it takes a sugar molecule, which is six carbons long, and it cuts that in half and creates a pyruvate, I think is a broken sugar molecule. And if you think of like what would happen if you put if you had a little shot glass of water and you put a bunch of sugar in there, and a shot glass of water and you put oil in there. And this is what my doctor, his name's John Lawrence. He calls it, like, you want your body can either become a swamp or a river. And you want your body to be a river,
Right.
and not a swamp. And once we have all these byproducts coming off, these free radicals, right, start going crazy in our body. And free radicals is something people talk about a long time. You need antioxidants and all this other stuff. But free radical just means your body's job is to take a little ball of oxygen and say, oh, I recognize there's some oxygen here. I'm going to throw some hydrogen on that thing, 2 hydrogens, and turn it into water. So turn it into H2O. And then when your cells are not functioning right, you've got an oxygen, you might get a few extra, you might get 1 little hydrogen on there. This is called
that's
reactive oxygen species. And this is what people mean when they say free radical. And I'm just saying this so my mom can hear it.
But I think of all those things when I say this out loud. As I try to tell a patient that, though, as soon as I say the word antioxidant, they think of like acai berry and bathing in it. And I'm like, no. Go back to the cell. Go back inside the cell. You don't need any of that stuff. You need a fuel that doesn't put off that free radical. And that, if you have broken mitochondria and you only use glucose, it's like burning that engine at a hot rate. Cool it down with a fat, with an oil. And that's, a different entry acetoacetate going into that Krebs cycle, getting that amount, increased amount of energy that comes out without those oxygens with the extra little tags zipping around and hurting things.
This is where methylene blue comes in.
Yes, I was just about to go there saying, so yes, ketones are this base, but when you look at the hacks that we've seen in medicine that, damn, I had to learn from YouTube, like, what do you mean you're going to pee blue? What do you mean a blue dye is going to do anything? And I opened up a history book going, oh boy, this has been here forever. And when you take a methylene blue treated soldier, which is like the malaria, Vietnam, this is how they're keeping malaria out of them, and they take them to autopsy, and the brain is blue. First of all, that tells me it's not like acai berry. It actually went into the body. It penetrated to the cell. It got into a neuron, which is, that is a hard task.
It is
enough to turn the brain blue. All right, so it's not fake. It gets to where it's supposed to go. Their hearts were also blue. At autopsy, it's blue. The blue dye is in the cells of the heart. Okay, you take heart and brain, and you can get I'm going to put this in here, but supplement into those organs. All right, you have my attention.
Yeah.
Let's play with that.
Let's table this, but I think we should talk about the difference between a drug and medicine.
Oh, boy.
I think those are 2 different things.
Yes.
So I don't think we go to like the pharmacy to get medicine. It's more likely where we're going to get a drug from.
Yeah.
But so methylene blue, do you know the history of this?
So here, correct me where I go off. Okay, so blue dye, industry, I'm figuring paper industry or textile industry. There you go. And then the blue dye. How did they get to malaria? Actually, maybe you do it.
So we need to make blue jeans, basically. And this guy comes up with this blue dye. They use it to stain on microscope slides and stuff.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
This guy starts goofing off with it. Then he's squirting it into these rats. I'm paraphrasing like crazy.
Right, that's it.
But then he squirted it into these rats, give them a little while, cut them open, and then put it on a microscope slide. All the neurons were blue. So he says, oh, this is going to be good to stain these neurons because it has what's called a neuronal affinity. So we're going to stain these rats. But then he noticed that it acted as somehow somebody noticed it acts as an electron donor.
Oh, and
this is a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
So methylene blue goes straight into the neurons, and we have neurons all over our body. It's not
just in the brain.
They call them a brain cell, and it's not a brain cell. We have neurons that are some of them 3.5, 4 feet long that are super long. So once they get in the neurons, they go through this process of cleaning up and balancing out all these reactive oxygen species.
Because it has the electron to help start that balancing act for something rogue is happening here. Let me stop that. Let this be the counteraction to that.
And it acts as a free radical scavenger.
Right.
And from the scavenging process, it collects electrons. And then I like to envision it just kind of like Santa. Is going around to all the healthy mitochondria, dropping electrons down into these mitochondria. And it helps it's neuroprotective. Mm-hmm. And if your neurons are blue, that's kind of cool.
Right.
It looks cool on an autopsy. You can't do a selfie. It will ruin your toilets.
Yes, no kidding. Do not black toilets if you're doing this.
If your dose is high enough. Like your dose is at the right level, you will be staining toilets. It will make your pee blue. Yeah. It's great when it snows. It's a lot of fun for guys when it snows.
As a boy mom, that's fantastic.
Yeah. You got to swallow it quick. It can stain your tongue. But it does all of these things, but it also really helps cytochrome C oxidase production.
That's the key here.
Yes. The number one key. And if your cells can not just run on electrons, but photons.
Right.
If your cells are blue, that also means that they reflect blue light.
Right.
Which also means that they have to absorb
red light. So this is the part where I have not had anybody else where I've been able to sit still and say, explain why red light therapy does, because you've had this unbelievable antidote to an injury in your brain that shouldn't be fixable. Again, you go back to my 2015 brain, I'm saying he's going to die quick and there's going to be lots of disability between here and the end of his life. I would have no hope for you in 2015. 2026, I'm very hopeful, especially knowing, you've already had the success of what happens when you're on methylene blue and then you add red light therapy. So talk through that, how the symptoms of what you were having bridged that treatment plan of methylene blue and then adding red light therapy.
When I first got diagnosed, I had temporal lobe epilepsy and mesial temporal sclerosis, which is kind of like your brain dying.
Yeah.
I see scar tissue that just keeps expanding and kind of getting bigger. But if our brain knows how to wire around damage, then we just need to give it the construction materials to do that, because it has all the skills. It just needs to go to Home Depot to get all the right boards and nails and all the things that it needs. The skills are all there. The brain, we don't need to teach the brain anything new. And all the drugs that I got prescribed were symptom focused. And the number one side effect of my anti-seizure medication was seizures. The most common side effect of an anti-seizure drug. So if my neurons are blue and I'm sitting around red light, that means anything that's blue, like this blue thing right here, is blue because it absorbs red and reflects blue. That's how just normal color works. So if my neurons are blue, that means there's photons that are getting sucked up into that neuron that are red. And it's like 6,000 times more likely to soak up red neurons because I've stained it blue temporarily.
Right.
And it's a temporary stain. So like your tongue is blue because I made you take some in the kitchen.
I was like, wow, that's a huge dose for such a tiny little thing. I want to try it.
It is high dose. So that means red light coming into the body works directly on cytochrome C oxidase, and it works directly into the transport chain where it's donating photons into the mitochondria. So cytochrome C oxidase can absorb these photons. And once our mitochondria are working better, we have more ATP, which is our energy for our body. So, and this took me 2.5 years to find. And the research has been out there for 100 years.
That's part. Like when I would go look at red light therapy, and just people would ask me about it all the time, should I do this? Should I do this? I would get to the part where I'm like, okay, even if red light therapy was going to help you, that mitochondria is still so crippled. You should be on a ketogenic state, and then we can talk red light therapy. And of course, you'd find the similar stories to yours where they would do it for a while and just not be consistent. So then the red light's going to be marginally effective. Without the methylene blue, this was not there. I'm like, you're just not going to get the power if you can decrease that inflammation on an intracellular, inside that cell, inside that mitochondria, and then add red therapy. Now we've got a game plan.
Yeah.
But most of them got the cart out of the horse. When you add blue dye, that is such a powerful way to flip that script.
It is incredible. And it does so many other things. Methylene blue has a lot of other uses. They use it for UTIs. Every emergency room in the country stocks methylene blue. For methylhemoglobinemia, cyanide poisoning.
Carbon monoxide
Yeah.
displacement, right? That is,
yeah.
The first time I ever saw it in medicine, there was a blue IV bag hanging somewhere. And I'm like, what are you doing?
So like post-op.
Yeah. It was actually, they were trying to get the person into hyperbaric for carbon monoxide treatment. And this was the bridge to get between here and getting to the place. So I'm like, I didn't know what the heck they were doing, but I let Laurie know.
That's beautiful.
Right.
And I'm at a point now where I will do intravenous methylene blue every few months.
So cool.
And I'll do intravenous red light laser.
How does that work?
So it's like, you remember those little things you get at concerts that have those little fishing lines?
Yep,
fiber
yep,
optic?
okay.
So it's like a fiber optic that goes up like you could put it in like the cubital median. And you could see this little laser light going up here. So you're running methylene blue into one side. And it's running over the course of like an hour. So it's a slow drip methylene. And over the course of an hour, the entire body of blood is getting irradiated with red light therapy and methylene blue soaking into the entire mix.
What do you notice? What do you feel?
It's not an instantaneous feel.
Okay.
But I think over the next few weeks, it's just like,
Restoration of.
yeah, like you feel like your cells are healthy again. Like you hear when people go on a diet and they're like, I didn't know that I was sick until I got healthy.
Right.
That's kind of how it feels like, whoa, this is how human beings are supposed to feel. And when it comes to, if anybody's watching your channel, they're a subscriber of your channel, maybe they haven't gone into ketosis before, real ketosis.
Right.
When you're in real ketosis, you know it because it is the most clear, centered brain, like there's a furnace burning in your brain in a good way.
Right.
And if you mix that with, then now you're in ketosis, then you get into methylene blue, then you do red light therapy. And then like if you, maybe you took Adderall or something and you miss the feeling of Adderall, caffeine has 3 molecules. You strip these other 2 off.
Queen or coffee. That's a choice.
You strip off the jittery molecule, you strip off the crazy energy molecule, you just get the brain focus molecule out of the coffee, out of caffeine. And it is like an Adderall, but it's way safer, way less addictive. And if you want to kind of double down on that, you put nicotine on top of that. Let's spend 30 seconds talking about nicotine. Nicotine's got a bad reputation.
Right. So I am 22 years old. This boy has been asking me out for 2 years, and I said no every time. I finally cave in and say yes and have the funnest season of my life. And he appears to be thinking about asking me to marry him. And I put down some rules saying, if you ask me to marry you while you're still smoking cigarettes, the answer is going to be no. Okay, I've had a long love-hate relationship with what tobacco was doing to this man I've now been married to for 31 years. So I have studied this drug like you can't believe. I have tried to argue with him that the nicotine wasn't healthy. I lose. I mean, nicotine is a stimulant. It's in the same category as caffeine, as Adderall, in that it will increase that heart rate, increase the blood pressure a little bit. It is not the cancer-causing, lung-destroying, deflating of your metabolism or of your mitochondria that tobacco is. Nicotine, a very powerful stimulant, especially when it's neurocognitive, even some of the heart failure information on when you're trying to just give that patient a boost to get out of what's been a heart failure slump. Nicotine has a great data.
And it's neuroprotective, right? It acts as a neuron protective agent. And they're starting to do studies with Parkinson's, myasthenia gravis, all kinds of neurological disorders. And I have started implementing nicotine. I chewed tobacco for 10 years in the military.
Welcome to the military. So,
yeah. So I had a can of Copenhagen in my pocket every day for
cannot be go
15 years.
Where's on a cell phone today?
And I swear, not a day goes by that I don't think, man, it would be good to have a dip. I think about it every day. I haven't dipped in 8 years, probably. But, okay, so nicotine is fantastic. One more thing to add on to this is ketone ester.
It is a brilliant hack. So whether it's a ketone ester, whether it's a ketone salt, when you look at the cell communication between the liver cells, that's where ketones are made by the vast majority. As a liver cell sits there assessing life in the liver, if it sees a ketone that it did not make, it says, uh-oh, I missed the memo. Resources are low. We need to make ketones. The ketone in the bloodstream is a signaling agent to make more ketones. When I look at some of my most diseased patients where I mean, I just did a podcast where a guy fasted for 21 days.
Are these varying diseases or are they all?
I would call them all mitochondrial diseases. I mean, they are diabetes, they are high blood pressure, they are obesity, they are chronic disease of, I mean, they're diseases of high insulin. And you can call them different things, cancers to autoimmune.
Cancer and high insulin disease?
Cancer is a glucose-loving disease. 80% of them are, that's a known fact. There's the 20% where you got to spend a little time saying, here's how that exception might be. So know that 80%, if you want cancer to live in full force, only feed the body mitochondria glucose. That will give you the best growing grounds for cancer. To be in a ketogenic state makes it much easier for us to try and win against that enemy. And I have people that are, really coming off of, 200 plus carbs per day. And I'm going to say no more than 20 total carbs per day. You're going to go through a lot of things. Put ketones in the blood for 4 or 5 days before we ever start. Now your liver is making them because of this little hack. And now we're going to cut carbs. Now we're going to, turn off the carbon producing fuel. It's a much more graceful journey.
And it tastes like shit.
Well, that one does. The ketone ester, I mean, I tasted one, I think it was 2018, the first time I did it. And I thought it was diesel fuel.
It's like gasoline. That's exactly what I think.
Oh my God. It's like every primal part of my body says, you should not be putting that into people.
Have you ever drank one on camera?
No. Oh, no. Okay.
I'm just having to have one right here on the table.
Oh my God. I'm scared.
So
I have a memory of this.
This is a ketone ester developed by DARPA.
Okay.
DARPA invented the internet, the mouse pad, Tomahawk missile technology, which is the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, I think.
Okay.
And they developed this for operators.
Right.
So wait, really quick, before you do this, why would some Jason Bourne guy out there need to have this maybe in his kit?
Oh, wow. It's a powerful, put the brain back online, even if you've got like a brain trauma, physical, sound, whatever would be off, your brain is offline, or they are sleep deprived saying, I need your brain to work for the next 12 hours. Just give it the fuel that gets into the brain cells. Now, that is any ketone out there. A ketone ester it's just it really shoots those ketones up in a short period of time. You're
stalling now.
I know, I told you. Okay. Oh, God. I didn't get it all down. Oh, my God. Okay, I didn't get it all down. Oh.
It's good stuff.
It is exactly how I remember it, too. Oh.
That's so you know it's working.
What kind of line of crap is that? If you need something to taste that terrible, God, you better be dying. I wouldn't do it again. Ooh. Okay. The ketone salts are like, they're bitter, or not bitter. That's bitter. Oof. They're like lemon juice. They're an acid. So very tart. And so you put a sweetener with it and it tastes pretty dang good. I mean, you can sip on it and so here's what happens after that ester goes in, though, is that you will see a pretty rapid absorption into the bloodstream. If you're pricking fingers, you'll see within, I think esters is like 15 minutes. I think salts, it's like 20 minutes. Like it's really quick on turnaround time to raise blood levels. But what you care about, what this does is it does peak quickly, but then it does fall quickly. Or the salts have a little better arc of 2 to 4 hours that it's going to be in circulation, which does a better job of tickling open the liver cells, saying, hey, make some ketones. So I have a couple of experiments where, anytime you're doing the ketogenic diet, there's slumps. There's times where I can't get my game back on. And so I'm in a slump and I decide, okay, the only thing I'm going to change is I get up every morning, check my morning ketones, morning glucose. I'm at 2:00 the day before, at that 2:00 hour, I'm going to drink a ketogenics BHB salt. So I make it great. I mean, put in some cream and some ice and you have a little toddy in the afternoon and my brain goes, woo. It's supposed to be done in 4 hours, right? That's only so the next morning you wake up and my ketones are a little bit higher. Okay, you do this 5 days in a row. Every day, your liver is making more ketones. It keeps going. Once your brain is in a ketogenic state, the ability to resist that peanut butter treat you love, it's much easier. When it's in a starvation state, you got hormones driving the primal way your body responds. It says, this rescues my starving cells. I mean, when you're trying to get out of that ditch. If I was in charge of your brain injury, I would say, what do you mean you keep going in and out of ketosis? You can't afford that. All of these hacks are a great way to augment a ketogenic baseline, and you can't afford not to do that. You have a very dangerous brain injury, a brain assignment. It's a cross to bear. You've been also designed by your life experiences to be one of the top people who can see how behavior changes. So the irony is not missed, right? Put this in your afternoon. This is just default what you should do. I know that as people become more ketogenic, sweet tastes are not attractive to them anymore. It's a bizarre flip where right now, if we put that chocolate treat on this table, your brain would start to wonder what it feels. And that desire for a dopamine surge, which is what
that thing out
is this hunger. But what's sad is when that desire is now a chronic phase desire, you don't get pleasure from that. You get relief. When people look at what happens to chronic alcohol or chronic sugar addiction, they'll want for something. And when they finally have the bite, it is not the pleasure, it is relief. And that is by definition addiction.
Yeah.
Addiction is you lost the dopamine surge. You now only get this results of just take down the craving. And that's not the fun you're after. That's not what your brain was. It was fun at one stage. Yeah. It is now not serving you the way it should. So that, as I've looked at some of the products that I put on the market, because I want my chemotherapy patients, you can't miss this. I need you on this every day for the next 6 weeks while this chemotherapy is wreaking havoc in the place it needs to. But I need the rest of your cells to thrive. So,
alcohol, really quick. I mean, red wine off. I can't do it.
Yeah. That'll send you into a seizure so quick.
What about like a
whiskey?
Tito's.
Oh. So that's like it's distilled liquor, right?
It's a vodka.
Like that, right? So any of the distilled liquors, I mean, that is a fuel, first of all. It's going to go into your mitochondria. It is going to be one of the things that feeds this chain. When you put alcohol in next to a carbohydrate or glucose next to a ketone, alcohol gets burned first. The other two take a back seat. That's why it's so...
So all alcohol. There's no alcohol that's safe.
Right. Well, and alcohol, I mean, I hate to put out there never ever. I have this wonderful story of this woman I was telling you about earlier. A year ago, I did a brain assessment and said, you're in big trouble. You are 62 years old. This is the only way out is dementia for 10 years. I need you to be in a ketogenic state. And so she watches some YouTube videos, gets a little bit of ketosis figured out, but she then takes this 21-day immersion class that I do twice a year. I do it the week after Martin Luther King Day, and I do it the week after Labor Day, where it's 3 weeks live, Monday through Friday, me and a coach and you. It's the best medicine I've ever. It is brilliant. In fact, when I was looking at your behavior engineering, I'm like, no wonder my 21-day works so well. I do exactly the things he's talking about. So we immerse her into 21 days of the advanced ketogenic state. They get through a sardine challenge of 72 hours only with sardines. They are pricking their finger every morning and sharing it with a group of 10 people. So they have positive peer pressure that your glucose needs to be dropping, your ketones need to be rising, and sharing.
Is it ketone P sticks?
No. We make sure you prick your finger.
Every day.
Every day. I mean, it's powerful because it is the biomarker that your brain is using to heal, and you can't fake it. This metric of looking at glucose and ketones at the same time, though, is the approximation for your insulin. All of these diseases are driven by insulin. And when this mathematical equation, if you look at the science research, it's called the GKI, but that means you got to do math and millimolar and to reduce the denominator to 1 and do... Or you can just do dirty math and take the big number and divide by the little number, and that's called the Dr. Boz ratio. First person I taught that to was my mother, who was going through chemotherapy, and her brain was not working. I'm like, just, Mom, take the big number, divide by the little number, and tell me what it is. That's when the after-Bowles ratio was born. Great assessment for, did we get your insulin down first thing in the morning? You want to heal that brain. You have to be washing your brain every night. How do you know if you did that? What's your Dr. Bowles ratio in the morning? That morning fasting glucose, morning fasting ketone is a barometer for how well you got to switch from a glucose burning system to a fat or ketone burning system at night, which is how your brain will live to be 80 and not have the consequences that it's designed to have.
I didn't know any of this.
Really?
But I do know that what cleans our brain is microglia.
Yes.
Mostly microglia. And microglia are like little cleaners, but they have a lot of other jobs. People tend to just say they're cleaners. They have a ton of jobs.
They're cool. If I want to grow up and be rebirthed, I want to be a microglia. They're that useful.
I want to be a squirrel.
Oh, I always said a bird. It's a very kind of little, you're going to be just fine. Don't let the panic get you. I think what's so I'll do me and I'll do you. So I do this with two of them at the same time because I'm usually showing the world what my numbers are. If you look at 10 years of doing this, I do a live show every Tuesday at night or Tuesday at 4:00 Eastern time on YouTube, and I check my numbers every day, every time. So 85 and 1.7. Now we're gonna check your numbers. So the key to this though is you have access to these amazing tools, but if you don't put it on a bed of ketones, you're undoing it as fast as you're doing it. Have you ever worn a continuous glucose monitor?
No.
Oh, then put one of those on you too. I brought one for you.
Okay.
Okay, so you know what those are?
No.
It's the coolest technology. So it's for diabetics. I have one. Yeah. It takes that fiber optic and parks it in the subcutaneous fat, and glucose in your blood and glucose in your fat are on parallel paths. They're about 5 minutes difference. So, like there's a little bit of delay for what happens in the blood and what happens in the subcutaneous fat, but not much. And this device checks your blood sugar every 5 minutes while awake, while asleep. And when I'm healing a brain, when I'm treating a cancer patient, I want to know, what was it at 4:00 in the morning, an hour and a half before you woke up?
So if I were monitored, do I need these?
You got to calibrate it, and you can't check ketones that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when do you think
I'd buy you one of these.
Are the pee strips unreliable?
Pee strips, okay, it's a waste product that after, it's like you piled the urine in the bladder. So for the last 6 hours, what's it been? Okay, so if you empty the bladder and then in the next 30 minutes, then you pee. If you empty the bladder all the way, then you could, there's a lot of messes with that. And you're trying to change behavior. You need accurate data to say, what the heck is going on? When I did this class, so this gal with the alcohol story, she takes the 21 day and she gets better. At the end of the 21 day, for the last year, have done, I've never seen medicine reverse problems so quickly. I offer an extension class that is 12 weeks long for, we charge like $600 for the extension class the whole time. $600 for 12 weeks. And we're going to use a microscopic dose of tirzepatide. Tirzepatide, you know what that one is? That is so they started 2.5. Before you know it, they're at 15 milligrams a week. That's a lot. That is 8. That is a bomb going off in your endocrine system. We start at 0.6 milligrams. Almost nobody rises off the floor.
Like you're microdosing.
Microdosing it. This woman, 6 weeks into her microdosing, she just said to her husband while sitting down to supper at night, where they have this 2 scotches and that, I don't want it. The nicotine people who've been super addicted to nicotine, they suddenly say, I just don't need it today. That never happens. Nicotine is way addictive. My Adderall patients, you're an adult, you've been on Adderall for 40 years.
They don't need Adderall even?
They don't want their Adderall. That does not happen. It's blowing my mind. So this woman, I just did a story on her because it blew my mind. I prayed for that girl. She has had the reason say, okay, I hope she finds freedom somewhere before she dies. She has had a life where the carbs and the alcohol were a friend for a good reason, because nobody else was in a couple seasons of life. And now she's, married, doing her life 62, but she's got dementia around the corner if she doesn't change something. And she gets on a ketogenic diet, kind of a half-ass one, then gets in the 21 day, gets on a great one. And then we trickle this tiny little hormone into her. And she is, I think we're at 9 weeks sober. 9 weeks sober after 40 years of drinking, and nobody held a gun to her head saying, this is an intervention, you got a good drink. She just stopped drinking. She said, well, what would usually happen in a brain that age stopping drinking, they're going to be depressed for at least a couple of years. Their brain is so wilted from the years of alcohol. What she had done in that
DT thresholds and...
Yeah. Well, what had happened before that is, even though she was pouring the scotch the way she had, she wasn't finishing it for time and time and time again. So this is all it was. See, that's so tidy.
All right, zoom in on my face. For the editing team.
That was
don't just zoom in on my finger.
So your sugar was 82, and it is not a fine, 0.4. Okay. Most of the time.
0.4 is
not, I'm
not in ketosis at all.
No, I wouldn't do you points for that. So when you watch a brain injury, though, what is most disturbing about that answer is last night you did not take out the trash. You have to be taking out the trash every night when you sleep, or you won't win. This woman who stops alcohol and did not have a depressive episode, which is at least going to last 2 years. I mean, ask Dal and I had this, like, if you take a 62-year-old brain that's that broken, and now you take away the part that's bridging her through life, which is carbohydrates is one of them, but so is booze.
Yeah.
And now she's got both of those gone, and she just describes her life as the most I didn't know you could feel this joyful. So she had healed that brain in the background by farting around with a ketogenic diet, then doing a good ketogenic diet. And it's not a 20-year-old brain where I can say, here, I can plot out your... It is a 62-year-old alcohol-soaked, insulin-soaked brain.
Wow.
She should have never had that great a result. And I just think the Holy Spirit showed up in her and said, I'm going to change the world by stopping her drinking. And her story has just inspired so many people to say, wow.
And methylene would be really good for
Oh, great.
as well.
Right.